purpose seems so vague, it's so broad. How do I just hone in to attract my ideal client, to attract the people that really want this?
Most people don't know what purpose means.
Right.
So for you, I'd say, number one, you're gonna get your message clear the more you put out your voice.
That situation could have broken me to the core, or I could have been dead and or in jail.
Yeah.
Energy high, excuses low. Energy high, excuses low. Energy high, excuses low. Energy high.
Hey, I'm here with Natalie Wyn of Inspire Life 365. I'm so excited to chat with her. She is going to be joining us for another incredible coaching episodes. Have these coaching episodes not been good, y'all? Let me know in the comments if you are taking notes. Get your pens and papers out. She's also a new member of the Speak Get Ready Cash Mastermind, so give her a warm round of applause. I know you at home, but still, give her a warm round of applause. Welcome to the Speak Get Ready Cash podcast, Natalie.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I'm so happy to be here, like truly.
I'm glad you're here. And welcome to the community too. It's like a formal official welcome.
I mean, absolutely. Like the community, I think I've been in maybe 2-3 weeks now, and I have found so much value. Like I'm not even joking.
Yes.
Like I have found so much value. I've made a decision to speak out and speak up. And when I tell you the community has come to support me, that was like phenomenal. I was like, I'm doing the right thing.
You are. I love that. So let everyone know what you do in your professional capacity and what you're here to talk about.
Yeah, so what I do is I'm a master mindset coach, business coach, and I help high achieving women, professional women, and of course, service-based entrepreneurs. I help them uncover their true purpose and really break free from like, limitations that are holding them back so that they can step into doing what they love with passion while also creating profits that's purpose-driven for their life. So that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That is really cool. And so what's your biggest business challenge that you want to bring to the hot seat?
So my biggest business challenge at this moment is being very clear. Being very clear as a coach. It just, at times, seems like there's so many mindset business coaches. And it's like, if I was a sales coach, I could actually say I can take you from X to Z. Whereas with mindset, it's like, how do I not confuse my audience, but where it's clear and be very clear on their transformation as well. So they know what they're getting and they actually want it. And not wanting to run away. Does that make sense? Or think it's woo-woo or...
Has anyone told you that it's like woo-woo or not specific enough?
Not really. Now I will say, because I'll say manifestation coach as well. So whenever they hear like manifestation coach, they're like, oh, is that of God? You know, so I'll get that sometimes, and I've had really great conversations, which I love having those conversations because I'm rooted in the Bible, I'm rooted in Christianity, and so it's just overcoming that piece of a person's mindset of what manifestation is. But that's the only time where it's like, well, everybody's talking about manifestation, or you know, what is it exactly?
Do you have that conversation on Instagram?
I haven't had that. I've had it on TikTok. I haven't had it on Instagram.
That seems like that would go viral.
Yeah.
Has it gone viral yet on TikTok?
I don't know. I hadn't checked, Ashley.
You haven't checked? What? Girl, okay, what's your TikTok?
It's Inspire Life 365.
Inspire Life
365.
Let's see how you're having this conversation.
I mean, it was a while back, and you know.
Okay, let me follow you on TikTok.
She's calling me up.
Yes, I am.
Calling me out. I know I need to do better on this.
Oh, I see one. Okay.
Sunday, beautiful. So real quick, I was asked a question, and I've been asked this before. When I founded Inspire Life 365 and became a manifestation mindset coach, the question that came up was, well, Natalie, do you believe in God? Is this rooted in God? Like, what's the deal with this? Is this just a bunch of woo-woo? And here's my answer for that. Yes, I believe in God. Do I judge other people who believe in something else? No, I do not. Because I believe in God or have a Christian upbringing, it's not my place to judge anyone. My place is to love everyone. How did manifestation become a big part of my life? Was that I felt like there was a missing piece when I was growing up in the church. I was told, have faith as a mustard seed, but I felt like no one told me how to do that. Someone told me you'd have a vision, or the people without a vision will perish, the people without a vision will perish. Like, what does that even mean? Or you can move mountains. How can I move mountains? So this world of manifestation, mindset, and abundance helped me and gave me the tools that I needed to express that even more so.
Okay, so number one, right? The God and manifestation conversation is super controversial. But the way you delivered that was not. But you should lean into the controversy. Like, you should totally be like, people think manifestation is demonic. I'll tell you 3 reasons why it's not with scripture. Like, that's, because if you have that conversation like that, I think that, like, people on both sides, because what your content should do 2 things. It should attract the right people to you, and it should push the wrong people away. And if your content is playing the middle, no one, just imagine if it's playing the middle, no one's gonna see it. No one's gonna see it because the algorithm won't push it out, no one will see it. I'm not saying be overly controversial, but I'm saying every video has to have a hook. So you had the image up there, it said God and manifestation. I would say, I would do like point of view, Christian mindset coach, tackles manifestation being demonic. Or like something that like will play with it, because I think, you know, with Christians, first off, if you make any Christian content, it's ripe for going viral because Christians are the most, oh my gosh, they're so aggressive. Like they want to, I shouldn't even say, I was going to say, they want to aggressively read the Bible, but they will aggressively argue you down on Instagram. And let you say a scripture, they like, then they become theologians. Then it's like, actually, that was in Acts chapter 2. And it really means in the Hebrew or the Greek. I'm like, when did you go to seminary? It's like Chat GPT in me. So it's just like, Christians are they're gonna blow you up because they're just so, all my Christian content, Christians just so mad. Never once do they actually slide in my DMs and be like, you know, we're both sisters in Christ. I want to come to you one to another. No, right. No, they don't want to come to me one to another. They want to get likes off of my page. You know what I mean? And that is great. Christians, please argue under my post. I applaud and welcome the virality. So they will push your stuff out if you say it in a particular way, especially if it's something that you believe in. And so a couple things I would say with your content is one way you'll get more clients is by having like a stake in the sand. And one of the things, I think it's Dan Kennedy talks about. Now, disclaimer, if you read any of Dan Kennedy's books, he's a really good marketer. I do not agree with everything he says, but I do like, I do like what he says about this one thing. And one of the things that he says is that you need to take a stance. Like and if you take a stance, then you ride that stance out to the day you die. And he says that because it'll allow people to really rock with you. Like if you ever look at people who have strong followings, it's typically because they take strong stances, and people can trust people who are certain. Even if they don't agree with them, it's like, I don't really like the way you're doing that, but I trust that you are gonna be consistent. Like I don't agree with everything. Dan Kennedy is a huge Trump supporter, like loves Trump. Every book be shouting out Trump for no reason. I'm like, this is about marketing. He'd be like, but Trump is the best marketer in the, I don't even agree with that, but I'm just like, well, next page, because this marketing stuff is real good. But I know he's going to be consistent, so I can trust that every time he's going to show up as who he is. And I think that one of the things that kind of makes us a weaker marketer is if they are still trying to be too liked. You know what I mean? Especially as Christians, like we're taught, like, don't be ruffling feathers, don't be doing this. But if you look at Jesus, he was flipping over tables. He was, I don't care what your rules are. I'm here now. I am the Son of God. Be mad. You know what I mean? Like he stood for something. And if we marketed the way Jesus spread the gospel, we would all be well off. Because he built a community, he built a following, he had his inner circle, he literally spread the message, went to different places and shared different things. If you take that and you think about like, oh, I can be on TikTok, I can be on YouTube, that's spreading the message in different places. And with Instagram, people are like, I can't believe you pray on Instagram. But I'm like, this is modern day evangelism, because literally it attracts people to my DMs like, man, I do want to know more about God because I'm spreading a message. So with your message, you may have to do a little bit of studying to make sure whatever you say is accurate. That's our obligation as experts, but like totally take that stance.
Okay, yeah. So that's the only area where it's woo-woo, but even with manifestation, you have to have the right mindset. It all still comes back to your mind, what you believe in, and taking inspired action.
And everyone knows that because we live it. So in your content, you need to make our lives prove your case. So like how many times have you went up for an interview and you told yourself all the reasons why you wouldn't get the job before you actually interviewed? they clearly haven't not hired you because you're in the interview, but we work against ourselves. That's how your mind works against you. When you're an entrepreneur, that's what that looks like. When you're in corporate, this is what that looks like. 3 ways your mind is playing tricks on you. 2 ways to silence the negative voice in your head. There's a book I just read. I'm really into tennis right now. So the book is called The Inner Game of Tennis. And it talks about person 1 and person 2, with person 1 being like your detractor voice. So it's telling you, oh, you didn't hit that ball, that's not good. When the whole concept of the book is a mindset concept, but it's like when you're on the court, you can't think. You need to have a clear mind so that your body can just react naturally. If you're thinking too much, you're not playing at your optimal peak. So you have to how do you get into a thoughtless mode so that you can really just naturally respond at your highest level as an athlete? So books like that are great because you can actually, 3 hacks pro-level athletes use to get in their zone that business owners should be using. But really share your heart with your audience. Now, the first question you asked was how do you stand out? Because it's so many other mindset coaches, and there's 2 ways you can stand out. I'm gonna go to the whiteboard.
Okay.
And this is gonna be really easy to remember, and everyone watching will also be able to think about how do you stand out. It's 2 things, and I'll give you a bonus 3rd one. And this also is like a content framework, right? So who do you serve? So there's lots of sales coaches out there, lots of people you can work with. We really narrowed in, the core of our audience is Black women experts. That is predominantly who we serve. Can we help other people? Yes. Because our strategies are they're not gender specific. You don't need to be a particular gender. You don't need to be a particular race. I just looked at who was already buying from me. That was who was already buying from me. So I started telling their stories more in my content. So the first way that you're gonna stand out is who you serve. If you're the mindset expert for everyone, it's gonna be hard to stand out. But if you're I work with early stage founders to overcome mindset blocks that are blocking their money and opportunities. That narrows it down because every time an early stage founder finds your page, they're gonna be looking for you. Now, an early stage founder is different than I help entrepreneurs who just crossed the 6-figure mark unlock the mindset strategies to get to 7. Early stage founder gives me tech vibes. Entrepreneur just crossing 6 gives me that service-based business owner, maybe a product-based business owner, but they consider themselves an entrepreneur. I help CEOs scale to go from 100 employees to 500 employees. Well, that's a whole nother bucket of people. That gives me executive consultant, executive coach. So the who is gonna be the first way you stand out, and you want to make it so that your who is so specific and so clear that they believe your mindset strategies are directly relevant to their stage of life.
Okay.
So if you narrow down on that who, it's gonna allow you to stand out. Who can also be industry. I help those in the tech industry. I help those who are therapists. I help those who are doctors. I help those who are lawyers. So it can also be industry over and above job title. So you have your job title, you have industry is another way that you can narrow it down. But all of these are gonna make you stand out because now anyone in that industry, anyone with that job title, they can now refer you. If your who is too broad, you are going to lose money. Before you hit that first $1 million in revenue, you want this who to be so specific, so narrow, so clear that you literally describing who it is that you help by itself will help people to go and find you clients. Because if you say, I'm a mindset coach, then people are like, oh, okay, cool. It's I'm a mindset coach for lawyers who are looking to scale their firm from 10 employees to 100 employees. Now, me hearing what you do, I'm like, oh, that's Takora. Oh, that's my friend so-and-so. That's Andrea. That's I can think of people who fit that. And I'm like, oh, you got to meet my girl so-and-so. I have to connect you to them. So you want, when you describe your who, people are already thinking about who they know so that they can give you business. So that's the first way you'll stand out, is getting really narrow on either job title or industry. The second way is how. So the how is really going to be your framework, your methodology. It's going to be your process. So for instance, it may be for us, we help speakers land 5- and 6-figure corporate speaking contracts through our proprietary paid methodology. We're the only firm in the world that can teach that methodology. It's trademarked, it's ours, it's something that we created and invented. So that methodology can do it. But another way could do it, we help you do it in 30 days. We help you do it in 90 days. So it could be length of time. So you think of how do we do it? You have your process, you have your methodology, you have your time frame, could be another way to differentiate, but then you also have your system. So when I get referred to different people, I was just referred to someone for client success mapping. And a friend of mine referred me. I was at the Inc. 5000 conference. It's all the fastest growing companies in America. We're playing tennis. And she was like, yeah, when I had my high ticket coaching, I was actually, I was referred to this company and they do really good client mapping. And I was like, okay, great. Tell me more about that. And she told me what they did for her. And I was like, oh. She was like, they have a great system. It's very easy. They come in, they ask you these questions. And she started describing their system. So if you have a system, a process by which you get clients' results that's really easy to explain and your clients can regurgitate it, then your system can also be a way for you to stand out. Like, no, you come in, you take our assessment. Our assessment is really simple. It's 50 questions. It'll take you 10 minutes to fill out. After you take that system, you're assigned to a coach. After you're assigned to the coach, then the coach takes you through our process. After they go through your process, you have a weekly check-in. Every month, we're tracking your revenue. Like, what is the system that helps to lead to results? That's another way that you can stand out. Now, if you have all of these, then great. You have a variety of ways to stand out. And each of these things can serve as its own content anchor. So you can do content for 5 days just on your system. Content for 5 days just on how you get people results faster than anyone else. Content for 5 days on your methodology or your process. And so each of these niches that allow you to stand out can also serve as ways for you to stand out from the market. So each of these like different hooks, if you will. Then the bonus is your why. So why do you do it? And the why is gonna be like, I do this because, I was working a $300,000 law firm job. I went to work every day. I was the only black woman in the litigation department. I realized they didn't make their first black woman partner until 2016. I was so tired of being the only, and I decided I'm gonna start a company where I don't have to ever be the only again. Right? And that's like a why. That's a piece of our why story. Your why story will likely bring in your background and your unique issues and the things that you've dealt with, which is the reason you do this. Mm-hmm. And I find that we know our why, we're passionate about our why, but we don't ever tell people why we do this work. Like, you should tell that story so much, people in your audience could be like, oh yeah, that's why she did it, because the boss came in, they said something racist, she was like, not again. Like, you want them to be able to like, tell that why story, because it's why people should trust you over someone who doesn't have a real story as to why they're doing this. Like, most of us are not doing this for the money.
Right.
We're all in our community, in the Speak Every Day Cash community, just slight plug, we're all so smart that we can make millions of dollars in our day jobs. Not everyone can, but we've already climbed the corporate ladder. Like, most of us have already done that. We were making hundreds of thousands. Like, we could do anything else for money. It's not just about the money. We do this because we are here for the people that we serve. And we have to tell that story because that's our differentiator. That's what makes people fall in love with you. That's what makes them trust you. And it makes you different than every other mindset coach. Okay. So this is how I would think about standing out. It's also how I would think about content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's given me a lot to think about. I will say that I've been working on my framework. Of course, due to you and what I've been learning through the mastermind. And one of the things, I guess, with mindset that I noticed out there is it's not all, because I've seen different things, but it seems to be those that kind of tag money or profit really generate more buzz, more of an audience. And I get that because people want to make more. People want to take usually their business or their personal finances to the next level. And as a mindset coach, I want you to make more too, but there's so many different things that come from mindset work in the sense of your confidence being increased. I feel like it's going to translate to more profit for you, but that may not be the immediate outcome per se.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When you say it seems like the mindset people that you see out there that make more when they talk about profit, have you seen their P&Ls?
A couple of them because they share it. Just a couple of people that I follow.
Because they share how much money they make. Okay. I would say don't worry about that.
Okay.
I would also say that if you're at the stage of your business where you're like, where looking at other people is distracting you from doing what you know you're supposed to do in your heart, stop looking. Okay. I think there's time for market research, but I also think you have to know where, because I've had times where I'll do market research and it doesn't affect how I view my own business, but it's just data. But from what you've told me a couple times, it's like, this makes it seem woo-woo or that gets better. I think you're at the point where you need to just really sit with yourself and be like, what do I want to say? What message do I want to put out? What message feels authentic to me? And I would talk about that. And I would say, I would make that content. Like, look, I know for a fact most of y'all want me to come on here and say that if you do this one little mindset thing, you're gonna make another $1 million.
Right.
But you're not, because there's 5 phases to developing your mindset before that is even a possibility for us to talk about. And I wanna tell you all 5.
Okay.
Drop 5 in the comments and I'll send you a video showing you all 5. Like you should, whatever you feel, so many other people feel it. There's actually people out there who are sick of being told they need to make more money because they feel like they're making enough money and they don't want to work anymore and they don't want to do anything else. Most people actually don't want to grow. Most people want to stay exactly the same and they just want to complain about where they're at. And sometimes they don't even want to complain about it, but they're just content.
Yes.
You got your complainers or you got your content. That's the most of people. Like everyone doesn't want to make more money. And some people have a ton of money. And money isn't everyone's issue either. So some people, it's not about making more money. It's about clearing my mindset because I already have more money, but I don't have more peace. I don't have what I really want, which is a family. I don't want to manifest money. I want to manifest a family. I want to manifest this new house. I want to, like, it's not always about monetary. I guess the home may fall into monetary, but like it's friendships. I don't have good friendships. I don't have good trust in my life.
Yes.
I'm not sleeping 8 hours a day. I don't have, like, people know there's other things that lead to quality of life that they would want more. And I think that they're largely ignored.
I agree. I mean, and that's my clients, my coaching clients that I have, and then I also do what I call a vision soiree, which are, I call it the vision board experience. So people come and I see the transformation that's there with my clients. They usually come to me because they want more money, but in the process, like what you were saying before, we have to tackle these 5 things, and then the money comes. It does. It's just if that's what they want. But then the love comes, because I start off with some clients, and they say they want more money, but when we get to talking, what they want is a husband. What they want is love. You know, what they want is to not be in a struggle or the hustle. And so I feel that, like that is my gift. I help you uncover your purpose so that you can get to whatever that ultimate goal is that you want for your life. And so I guess for the last couple of years, it's like, well, that seems so vague, you know, and I've skewed towards, okay, well, maybe it is the money. But listening to you, it's like, well, I don't have to follow that guideline, you know.
No,
I don't have to follow that guideline, that there's more than enough for me in what I'm doing and in my gift and in my own purpose, that I'm going to attract those right people and be able to have a clear message for that.
There are no rules.
Yeah.
You talked about a couple things. Most marketers will tell you, people want health, they want wealth, they want relationships. Those are the 3 buckets. Put all those things together. For some people, that means they want to live in purpose, but most people don't know what purpose means.
Right.
So for you, I'd say, number 1, you're going to get your message clear the more you put out your voice. Because I heard you say you're on TikTok, but you're like, it's been a while and this, that. You only learn your messaging by putting it out. I was just at the Inc. 5000 conference, and it was so many different people there that I was meeting, and I don't always know what is the best hook in a room where it's not my ideal clients. Like, typically, that's more of a corporate room. It was people there from all walks of life. So every time I met someone, I gave them a different one-liner. Because I was testing what works best for this room. And through that testing, we narrowed it down and we were like, you know what? Hi, my name is Ashley Kirkwood. I'm actually a conversion speaker. So companies can hire me to go to events that they're sponsoring, and I will speak on their behalf and help them to convert more people in the room. That did great. That got me a sales call. That I was like, okay, like that works for this room. Now, if I go to an entrepreneurship conference for Black entrepreneurs, like, hey, I help Black women land 5- and 6-figure speaking, coaching, and consulting contracts and grow their businesses by implementing a solid sales process. That could work for that room. Yeah. If I go to a room just for speakers, I help speakers land paid college and corporate contracts. Like that works for that room. But the only way you know what works for your room is testing out different messages. So the way you do that on social media is you would go on social media and you would regurgitate different ways to explain what you do and see which one gets the most likes. Okay. Which one gets you the most comments? Which one has people in your DMs asking you questions? And it may take a while. It may take a while to figure out like what that is. But even when you talked about purpose, you said they may want love. They may want friendship. They may want, those are specific messages. And if that is looking at who your clients are now, you would figure out what brought them to me. If money is what brought them to you, then that would be the honey message that you would use to attract them. Honey messaging, I think that comes from Abu Fawana. He teaches how to do ads, and also he teaches marketing. But one of the things you want your messaging to do is to attract.
Right.
And if that is what's attracting your ideal clients and you like working with those folks, then that is the message I would use to attract. And on the back end, we talk about your operations, your sales, your marketing, your launches. Like, that isn't typically something that even I would lead with. I may lead with, hey, land your first corporate contract. But 60% of our clients are experts who want to sell more services over and beyond corporate. But the attraction is still the same thing. The back end may be a little bit different. So you just need to figure out, what are your 2 to 3 attraction messages? Okay. And because you actually have people you've worked with, I would ask them, like, hey, I'm narrowing down my messaging. Which one of these resonates the most with you? I've loved working with you. If you would have saw one of these messages, which one would have made you book a call faster? And just ask them.
Okay.
And I would ask on Facebook, like, hey, if I tell you I do this, what does that mean for you? What do you think I do? And you want to make sure that it's clear. So if you help reframe limiting beliefs so that you can live the life you want, that may feel a little bit broad, but it gives you some room to grow. And the way you'd make that more specific is, I help busy executive women reframe negative beliefs so they can go for the promotions they want and live the life they want. So now we've narrowed it down even more. And if you want to narrow it down even more, I help busy executive women reframe limiting beliefs so that they can go for what they want in life using our proprietary blank method. So now it's a little bit more, it's a little bit tighter. But I think with messaging, it's something that you have to, one, ask the people who are already paying you, which one of these messages makes the most sense? And also just ask them, hey, why do you work with me? What made you work with me? What was it about? Was it something on my website? Was it something I said? What did you hear from me that made you excited to work with me? Because they'll tell you. But if they're coming for money, then I would just have that conversation. Yeah. And I think the thing that agitates us as experts is knowing the truth while leading with something that feels a little bit like a mirage.
Right.
And that feels inauthentic to us, because we're like, you want to land this speaking contract, you don't even got no reel, you don't even got no topic. But if I led with develop your framework, people would be like,
what's that?
Right, what's that? So for you, it may be you think what you want is more money, but what's stopping you isn't your job, it's the way you think. You know, so it's just having that conversation, because we see it. I mean, people come to us to make more money all the time, but they may not believe in themselves enough to do the activities that will lead to them making more money. So we got to deal with the mindset. It's the most important thing. We have to deal with it. So I would lead with what is going to attract them in, and then on the back end, you give them everything else they need.
Okay, I love that. I love that so much. It actually makes me feel, and I know I've used the word feel quite a bit with us talking. I normally don't, but because I want to make sure I am aligned with who I am, I've been using it in our conversation, but it does make me feel better.
Yeah.
I have made excellent money. You know, I've turned my life around, or, you know, I don't look like what I've been through per se. And
okay, tell us your story.
So my story is one where I have been in very serious relationships, domestic abuse, and it could have easily turned into something drastic because it was that bad at a very early age. My own poor decision making, not my upbringing or raising, just being a rebellious young person, and that literally that situation could have broken me to the core, or I could have been dead and or in jail.
Yeah.
And to be able to rise above that with the amount of damage, I guess, that was incurred, especially mentally. I won't even talk about physically, just the mental is amazing to me. And so having gone through that and still being a woman, I was married at one time, divorced now, but the beautiful part about my divorce, and I know this has to do with mindset, is that my ex-husband and I are still really good friends. We still run our business together that we started almost 20 years ago that's still doing very well. But even being able to be a married woman for 12, 15 years and to have this beautiful relationship to start over from a divorce and walk away with very little at the time because the business was still very young when we divorced, and just going, well, who am I? Who am I? You know, how do you go from Alpharetta, which if any one of you all live in Atlanta, you know that the 3004 zip code is an affluent zip code. So how do you go from that beautiful home, that beautiful area, that lifestyle, to a 2-bedroom apartment in Clayton County? And nothing wrong with Clayco. Just saying that there's a difference in where I was and where I was going, and feeling like I should be so much further along, and not knowing who I was, not having the money and sometimes seemingly the support to move forward, and then going from there and building my business, the one that was existing that during the time was the housing crisis that fell. So if you can imagine, we survived that housing crisis to still have that business to this day, but at the time it wasn't making any money. And so to not have that, and to not have the commercial janitorial company that I helped to build with my husband at the time, because he decided he didn't want to work with me for that. So to have almost felt like nothing and to start over, it's like, what am I supposed to do? You know? And then, of course, leaning on that upbringing of God has not forsaken me.
Yeah.
My strength comes from. All things work for my good. And having the courage to work on my mindset, having the courage to take action in the midst of not being able to see anything, you know, when everything seemed dark. And I've thrived. I believed that I would buy my own home within a year of being divorced, and I did.
Yes.
You know, I believed that I would have money in my account and not have to stress or worry about finances, and I do. You know, I believe that I would have a vacation home, and I have.
Yes.
You know, I believe that I would have a healthy, loving relationship, and I do. You know, so doing that work and knowing where I came from to where I am now, and being able to have that impact and share that story with other women has been phenomenal. Like, it's a passion, you know, because I know you don't have to be your circumstances.
That's so powerful. That's powerful. So look, that is, I was about to say, ain't that good, y'all? Y'all better. That is so powerful. I think one of the things I noticed when you were telling your story is, like, when you would get to the points where you were like, look, you know, I have money. Like, you would kind of hesitate. And I'm like, girl, you better say you got money. You got super, ain't nothing wrong with having a little money. Because you went through so much to get there. And if that is the thing that is attracting the most people, then just say it. Because even that's mindset, not because you're typically seen as like maybe arrogant, or that's not appropriate, or it's kind of like crass, or
humble.
You're trying to come off like you're better than other people. And it's like, no, it's just a fact. It's like the sky is yellow, and I don't have to worry about if I'm paying for my gas today. Like, it's just a factual fact. Now, the reason you're sharing that isn't to make others feel small. It's to make the woman who feels like she can't get there, that she can get there, because you overcame domestic violence. You overcame all of these other things that have happened to you and happened through you to get to where you're at. So you should share those stories, because that's your why. That's the why.
Yeah.
That's the why you're comfortable with this. That's who you are. And so I think every day you should really challenge yourself for 10 days straight to share a different element of your story.
Okay.
And it could be like, hey, over the next 10 days, I'm doing something. You know, my coach has like challenged me to share more of my story over the next 10 days, because so many women deal with divorce. So many women deal with domestic violence. I'm a sexual assault survivor. So many women deal with that. And it's like, I had never shared that before. And I shared it on Instagram one day, girl, hundreds of like messages. People in my family who I didn't know were survivors were like, I survived this too. This is what I went through. I never told anyone. I've never told anyone in the family. And I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, so our stories are freeing even for other people. And I think that we should share more of our stories. I think for you, particularly with being a mindset strategist for people, you're gonna have to share your story because that's gonna separate you from everyone else.
Yeah.
Like having a 10-year plus marriage, being divorced, coming back from that. A lot of people have their identity in their husband or in their spouse, so they can't tether the two from one another. And like the fact that you've been able to overcome that is also so powerful. So I think a lot of your uniqueness, a lot of how you're gonna stand out in the marketplace is to share your story. And when it comes to money, just share the truth. Like you're not bragging, you're just telling the truth.
Yeah.
For many people, it's encouraging. It's not gonna be taken as like, ugh. You know, because the first time I started sharing, I was like, I hope nobody in my family sees this. So I was just like, Lord, I did not even being like, Ashley, what you over here talking about millions? Are you really making, like one of my cousins called me, she was like, you really make millions of dollars a year? I was like, that's not really for you, baby. That's marketing. That's for, I was like, but yes, it's true, but I'm not sharing. It's like, you can't tell people that they gonna come to you. I was like, no, they're not. It's fine. Like, it's okay. Like, we're safe. We live safe neighborhoods. Like, we're very careful. But, you know, share your story. Like, it could be so encouraging for people. I think there's something to why you don't want to lead with the money part. But I think that might be a mindset area where you could even seek more liberation in.
Right.
Because it could be, it's like, it's interesting. I really do believe that sometimes the thing the enemy tries to like fight us on is the very thing that we should be doing because it's like one of his tricks. Like we talked about at the event, psychological warfare. It's like the very thing that I'm not supposed to talk about or that I feel apprehensive of talking about is the very thing that's gonna attract people to me. You've already said it. You was like, it attracts them. They're making money.
Right.
They do the same thing as me. I have money. I actually could talk more about that. So why not? If the end is helping more women, if I did this, why would I not do it?
Right. That's a great call out. And thank you, Coach Ashley, for giving me permission. Actually, I needed, so silly, but I needed the permission to share my story because I've had people say, well, you don't want to get too like detailed. Like you don't want to tell like domestic. You don't want to tell about,
why?
You don't want to tell about the assault. You don't want to, you know, they were just like, because then, you know, it's like, I have no idea why those people told me that. They were just like, it's just not a good look, or it's not really how, you don't really want people in your business like that.
But you do, because you want them in your business, swiping their cards, working with you and paying you. So you do, but I think maybe they were saying it from a place of protecting you, but I would say for me, I don't share anything that I can't share in power.
Right.
But if I can share it in power and it won't like, I don't want to share it like I don't want to be going there. But if I can share it in power and it's something that I'm okay being misunderstood, because transparency is a gift. But I don't share anything where if someone used it against me, I would be like mortified.
Devastated.
Yeah, devastated. So like, that's my test. It's like, am I comfortable being transparent if I know that someone is gonna manipulate it or use it against me or twist my words. If I'm okay with that and I still stand 10 toes on it, then I'm gonna share it.
Okay.
You know, so it's like, if I'm in a place where I can share it from a seat of power, I'm sharing it, no problem. So like, my protection for you would be like, do that self-check. Like, can I share it and be okay? Because for me, with the sexual assault, I had never shared it, not because I was so devastated by it, but because I knew that when my parents found out, like, they would be really devastated.
Right.
And so I shared it in my Instagram stories thinking like, oh, they're not gonna watch my stories. My brother saw it, calls my parents.
Of course he did.
And then he's looking for the guy.
Right.
I'm like,
Of
who
course
are
he
you
is.
looking for? I didn't say the name. He's like, well, you gave some context clues. He's going and looking for random people calling me like, why does your brother coming to me saying you did? I said, it wasn't him. I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. So now I'm like, I did say he was Greek, but not that Greek. You can't just be walking on random Greek doors.
Right.
He just looking, knocking on random Greek. My sister knew you in college. Was it you, bro? Because I'm at your door.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, no, that guy was so nice to me the whole time.
Right, yeah.
So because I know my family, like, we are not about disrespect. Like, I tell you, I told Nicole earlier, like, I grew up where men be about that life. Like, oh, they said, oh, you said what to who? Oh, okay.
I'm on the way.
I'm on the way. Like, all the men in my family is like, we outside.
Yeah.
What's up? You know? So, like, that's how I grew up. So I was really worried about them doing something to these people. And and it was a rightful concern, but it was also so freeing because once he told them that, now I can talk about it more. And I work with women.
Yeah.
And so many women have been, privately been able to come to me and say, I've dealt with that.
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much for sharing that. And what I didn't anticipate, and I'll tell you, is every time I share a piece of my story that felt in the moment like it was gonna take me out, it has been the very thing that has elevated me.
Okay.
And it's like, I cannot explain it, but it's just like something God does with stories. If you look at all the people in the Bible, those are all their stories. Like, that's Esther's story, that's Moses' story, that is Noah's story. It's like their stories are the very thing that has had believers centuries later getting their healing, getting their Job, his story. It's like these in the moment feels like it's gonna take you out. But the way God uses stories is to change generations. And that's always been the case. So like the more comfortable we get telling our stories, and of course seeking the Holy Spirit's wisdom on like when to share, how to share, and the environment to share, the more freedom we get. And I'll tell you something else. I had to go from needing to feel safe to realizing that I am safe. Yeah, so like I may not feel safe. I could not feel safe and still be safe.
Absolutely.
Because of me walking in what God has called me to walk in. And that needing to feel safe can actually put us in danger. Because we can feel safe. That just means we feel comfortable. But you're safest doing what he wants you to do. And so there's a reason why you're like, this wasn't even really planned for us to do like all these coaching episodes. You recently joined the mastermind, you got in, they sold out like this. I mean, we didn't even sell them, y'all. We were just like, hey, y'all wanna come? Like people were like, I'm there. We have 20 people in our mastermind that live in Georgia. So for you to get one of these spots, for us to be talking about this, you're the last person that I'm interviewing today. For those of y'all, it may not come out last, but I'm just saying, y'all getting behind the scenes. But like for you to be here, I think it was for you to know this. Like every time you feel that that opposition or that apprehension about sharing something, if you're not doing it because of a fear, you probably want to reevaluate. Because fear is not from God. If God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, I always ask, like, who does it come from?
Right.
Like, what agenda is that fear pushing me away from? Like, if you can get over that fear, you are, like, going to be so dangerous to the enemy and so helpful to God's kingdom, because we need fearless women to tell their stories and share so that other women can get free.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, I don't know what I did with some of my clients, but I shared about when I didn't have any money. I was at a gas station and I pulled up at the gas station with $0 in my bank account. And I looked down and there was a $10 bill. And so, of course, I was just saying how I believe that I was going to get some gas. I didn't know how I was going to get the gas, but I still pulled into the gas station, got out, and there was some money, like, right there. And so one of my clients called me and she was like, her name is Lisa. She's like, Natalie, is that really true? Were you really struggling like that? Like it was that bad? I said, yeah, that's a true story. Like that is, I live that. I understand what it feels like to have a bounce check. I've only bounced one check. And it was an accident. I just want to be clear. But I knew I never wanted to bounce another again. But I understand what that's like. I understand what that shame feels like. I understand what it feels like to roll up at a gas station or to not know if you're going to make it from point A to point B without running out of gas because you didn't have the money in your bank account, per se, and believing that things would be different and that they are different. And
now, I love that you're sharing your story. I think when it comes to strategic storytelling for sales, one thing you'll have to be careful of is your stories are going to attract. So if you tell stories about, pulling up and manifesting the $10, etc., and it wasn't manifesting $10, it was like, I believe I was gonna get gas.
Yes, right.
That story is gonna be great. You may have to couple that story with how a woman with means can go through a similar situation. So it's like for you, you don't need $10 for gas. You're trying to figure out, I want to buy a house. I want my house. It's going to be a $3 million house. How am I going to get $600,000 for a down payment?
I love that.
It's the exact same principle, two different sides. So whenever I tell a story about like, I used to have a food stamp card or whatever, I'm not gonna only tell I'm gonna couple that food stamp story with like now, we're able to eat at 5-star restaurants, but now it may be like an issue of like, okay, if the bill comes and I'm with 20 people, am I paying the bill for $2,500 or am I passing on it? You know what I mean? So it's like two different, but like both. That way you attract more people, because the folks who are really in that position where they don't have money for gas, they also don't have money for your services. But it's good to relate, because people are always on a spectrum. They may not have money for gas today. They may own 10 gas stations by 2 years from now. Right? By utilizing the free content that you put out. But you also don't want to leave out the woman who's like, I have 50 cars. You know what I mean? Like, I have a fleet of vehicles, but my problems are a little bit different. So you just want to make sure if you tell a story about financial issues, you're coupling it with how it's even relevant, how that principle is still relevant to someone who has the means to pay for your services. Because these stories have to do a couple things: endear people to you, but they also have to attract your ideal buyer. And the stories you tell are going to attract that buyer.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That feels really good.
So what are you going to do differently as a result?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the advice of my coach, Coach Ashley, and do my 10-day challenge.
Yes.
And post and tell my story, but couple it in just the way that you described to attract my ideal client. I'm going to step more boldly into my own story.
Yes.
And share that. That is going to allow me to really hone in on my message and be very clear. And I just think all the rest of it is done. I really do. I think all the rest of it is done, because now that I have the permission, I always had it, but thank you.
Yes.
The permission to really just, and I know we say this, to be me authentically, in that it's okay if people like me, if people don't like me. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's still valid. My story is still valid. And being able to express that just is going to give me the clarity.
Yes.
So I'm excited.
I love that.
And of course, I'm doing all the activities in the mastermind.
Yes, you are.
So I should be excelling even faster and further, coupled with like what we just discussed today. So this was really good. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
And where can women find you who want help overcoming their mindset barriers to reach whatever their purpose is in life?
Absolutely. So you all can find me at inspirelife365.com. You can find me on all channels: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, at inspirelife365. I'm there. I'm Natalie, and I'd love to meet you and help you through whatever is keeping you from living your best life.
Amazing, you guys. This was another powerful coaching episode on the Speak Get Ready Cash podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a comment. If you want us to keep them coming, let me know, because we are creating this content for you. Share this video out with 3 people if you do not mind. I want to spread the word of what we're doing here and just help more people. My name's Ashley Kirkwood with the Speak Get Ready Cash podcast, and I will see you at our next event. Check the description for the link.
Yeah. Energy high, excuses low. Energy high, excuses low. Energy high, excuses low. Energy high, excuses low. I need energy, need only good people that's around me.